On June 5th, 1923, a young inventor named Edwin Armstrong got married in New York City. His best man, the man who introduced him to his wife, was named David Sarnoff. Sarnoff ran RCA. He was the most powerful broadcaster on Earth. He raised a glass at the reception.
To my friend Edwin, the man who invented the radio you all listen to at night. And to my finest secretary, Marion, congratulations on the catch.
31 years later, on the morning of January 31st, 1954, Edwin Armstrong put on his hat. He put on his coat. He put on his gloves. He opened the window of his 13th-floor apartment on East 52nd Street, and he was gone. His name was Edwin Howard Armstrong. He invented FM radio. And the man who raised that glass at his wedding spent 20 years killing him for it. Yonkers, New York, 1909. A teenager builds a 125-foot antenna tower in his parents' backyard. He climbs it almost every night. He is 15. His father is a publishing executive, Oxford University Press, and a quiet man, a churchgoer, used to letting his strange son alone.
Edwin, your mother is worried. You haven't come down from the attic in 2 days.
Papa, the signal from Pittsburgh is here. I can hear it. The man's voice is here, in this room. He's 400 miles away, and he is here.
Edwin, come down, eat something.
He did not come down. He stayed up there, with the headphones on, listening to a city he had never been to, working out, in pencil, on the back of a calendar, the circuit that would make every radio receiver in the world work. He was 19 when he finished. He called it the regenerative circuit. It is, to this day, inside every AM radio ever built. 1918. The United States Army Signal Corps. Captain Edwin Howard Armstrong, 28 years old, is in Paris, trying to detect German aircraft engines from miles away by their radio noise. In a basement on the Avenue de Montaigne, he invents a second circuit. He calls it the superheterodyne. It is also, to this day, in every radio on Earth. He is 28 years old, and he has now built the two foundational technologies of the entire modern broadcast industry. When the war ended, he came home a millionaire. RCA bought his patents for a fortune in stock, making him one of the largest individual shareholders in the company. The chairman of RCA was a young Belarusian-born immigrant, the same age as Armstrong, a former telegraph operator named David Sarnoff. The two men became close. They went to the same dinners, played the same tennis. Sarnoff introduced Armstrong to his secretary at the RCA office, a quiet, sharp-eyed woman named Marion MacInnis.
Miss MacInnis, Mr. Sarnoff says you are the only person in this building who can find the file I am looking for.
Mr. Armstrong, Mr. Sarnoff says you are the only person in this building worth losing a file for.
They married 6 months later. Sarnoff was the best man, and he raised a glass. AM radio. The technology Armstrong had built as a teenager had a flaw. Lightning storms tore it apart. engines tore apart. Every motor car 1,000 feet away tore apart. The whole industry assumed this static was the price you paid for sound traveling through air. For 10 years, between 1923 and 1933, Armstrong sat in a private laboratory at Columbia University with his own money and tried to find a way to send a clean signal through a dirty world. He found it in 1933. Instead of varying the strength of the wave to carry the sound, you would vary its frequency. Static could not catch a wave that was constantly moving. The result was an audio signal of perfect clarity. He called it frequency modulation. FM.
David, come to Columbia. I want to play you something.
Edwin, this is a recording.
This is live. From a transmitter 4 miles from here. There is no recording. This is radio.
Good God.
Sarnoff understood immediately what he was hearing. He told Armstrong they would build the whole American FM network together. He told him to set up a demonstration for the FCC. He told him to start planning the rollout. Armstrong put 20 more years of his own money into prototypes, into transmitters, into a station of his own on a mountaintop in New Jersey. And then Sarnoff went quiet. RCA had a new priority: television. FF, Sarnoff decided, would compete with TV audio for spectrum. So in 1945, after lobbying the FCC, Sarnoff got every FM station in America forced to a different frequency band, making every FM receiver Armstrong had built obsolete overnight. 500,000 radios, worthless.
David, why did you do that?
Edwin, it's business. The world moves on. Be reasonable.
And then RCA began quietly building Armstrong's FM technology. Patented technology, owned by Armstrong, into the audio of every television set it sold. Without a license, without paying him. Sarnoff bet that Armstrong would not have the money to sue. He had the money. Just barely. In 1948, Armstrong filed suit against RCA for patent infringement on FM. RCA had a legal budget the size of a small country. Armstrong had a wife, a mortgage, and the conviction that he was right.
Your Honor, the plaintiff's circuit is, with respect, not novel. We have prior art going back to the 1920s. The plaintiff is a Columbia professor who, frankly, has not had an original idea in his life that the radio industry did not pay him for.
Your Honor, I invented FM radio in a laboratory on the campus of Columbia University on December 26, 1933. The patent is United States 208-0362. The witnesses to the first transmission are in this room. The man behind that desk, David Sarnoff, sat in my laboratory and called it Good God.
The case dragged through the courts for 5 years, then 6. RCA delayed every motion, demanded every document twice, hired witnesses to claim they had built FM before Armstrong, sold patents to pay legal fees, then sold the family savings, then sold the laboratory equipment. He was, by 1953, nearly broke. And he was, by 1953, alone.
Edwin, I'm going to my sister's.
Marion,
I have watched this case eat you alive for 5 years. I have watched you stop sleeping, stop eating, stop being any person I recognize. I am not asking you to drop the case. I am asking you to remember there was a person before the case. I cannot do this anymore. I am sorry, Edwin.
She left on the day after Thanksgiving, 1953. He stayed in the apartment on East 52nd Street with the case files. He worked on the case for 2 more months. On the morning of January 31st, 1954, Edwin Howard Armstrong got dressed. He put on his hat. He put on his coat. He put on his gloves. He wrote a short note to Marion, who was still at her sister's. It ended with the words,
God keep you, and the Lord have mercy on my soul.
Then he opened the window. He was 63 years old. He had invented 2 foundational radio technologies, given the country its broadcast infrastructure, and held more than 40 patents at the time of his death. He left an estate of less than $2,000. When the police informed Marion Armstrong of her husband's death, she went straight to the apartment. She gathered the files. She did not stop.
Mr. Wallace, my husband was right. RCA stole his work. Continue the case.
She fought the lawsuit for 13 more years. RCA settled in 1954. Small, an insult to get rid of her. She refused. She continued against Zenith, then Motorola, then everyone else who had used FM without paying. She won every single case.
In the matter of the Armstrong estate versus Motorola, the court finds for the plaintiff. The patent of Edwin Howard Armstrong on frequency modulation is valid. The defendant is liable for damages.
By the time Marion Armstrong stopped fighting, in 1967, the courts had affirmed in 22 separate decisions that Edwin Howard Armstrong had invented FM radio. Every dollar of damages he should have received in his lifetime was paid. To her. She gave most of it away to Columbia University, where her husband had worked. Today, every FM station you have ever heard, every audio chip in every cell phone you have ever owned, every cleanly transmitted human voice in every car you have ever ridden in, uses the technology Edwin Howard Armstrong patented in his Columbia laboratory on the 26th of December, 1933. He is, by any fair accounting, the most important radio engineer who ever lived.
The signal is in the room. The man is 400 miles away, and the signal is in the room. That is what we...